Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
This is why you do not get microblading 6 days before your wedding. Oh my god.
It's a tattoo, so I don't think any of that's gonna come off.
She said she put like brow pomade on it, but she didn't.
I came here on Saturday to do microblading. This lady asked her, how much are you doing microblading? And are you sure? She said 10,000 naira. Are you mad? Are you mad? Do you expect me to take this rubbish to my market? I should not swear.
Anybody who ever got their eyebrows microbladed actually liked the results a few years later, or do we all collectively hate ourselves for making the worst decision of our lives? Because I have to every single month go and get my eyebrows laminated to cover up the green, grey, blue shit show that is left on my face that I've had a saline solution removal situation to try and get rid of, which my brows were like bright red for 6 weeks and I had no idea that the healing was going to take that long, just to take a tiny bit of the pigment out. Biggest mistake ever. If you don't heed my advice and you still want to go ahead and book it, go down the artist page and maybe 2 or 3 years, click the people tagged in those photos that they put that look beautiful straight on the chair after they've been freshly done, and DM them and ask them if they like their brows a few years later.
I got my eyebrows microbladed 6 years ago and this is what they look like. They have truly barely faded. I will say some of the strokes aren't quite as crisp as they used to be, but they have stayed on so well. The only problem is I think they're a little too thick and a little too dark for my more natural makeup look. When I got this done, I was working for a beauty brand, so I was doing so many full faces of makeup, and so the thicker, darker brows really worked at that period of time, but now I feel like they take over my face, and I'm trying to see if it's worth attempting to fade it myself over time. So if anyone has recommendations on how they've handled microblading that they are looking to fade a little bit, please let a girl know.
And this is for all the girlies who got their eyebrows microbladed like probably 5 to 7 years ago. I so badly want to be on this like clean girl eyebrow, like the fluffy brows, the laminated look. Like I want that for my eyebrows. But the problem is, let me get close. Like, okay, you can see like how the microblading has faded, and I have just like kind of this like gray leftover blurred ink, whatever, and I don't have like a lot of brow hair on I'll make sure the other side. The other side's worse. On this side, there's not even a ton of hair to like fluff up, even though I had a good brow gel, but then it's just exposing like all that ink, and like I don't know, I want those brows, but like what are we doing? Microblade girls, like please help.
Anyone else fall victim to the fallacy of microbladed brows several years ago? Because I did. I got them done in 2015. A couple years later, they started fading. Today, while you can kind of see what color they are, I also have to say that I do have some foundation over them. But today, they're basically like pink orange. They're absolutely awful. And so on a no makeup day, which is today, I usually just take my foundation brush, and whatever is left on the brush from me not cleaning it, I'll just lightly dust it over my brows so that it kind of tries to like color correct.
Raise your hand if you too were a victim of microblading or cosmetic tattooing. Years ago, I got microblading on my eyebrows and I did like it, but she made my eyebrows like straight across and I wanted more of like an arch, and they've turned like blue. I don't know if you can see. Now I pluck my eyebrows and slick my eyebrows up in a way that it like lifts my face. So every single day now I have to put concealer and cut out my eyebrows. Does anybody have a way to get rid of these? I have called a few salons and laser places and they don't do it. So who the heck does it? I know there's like a saline solution that can get rid of it, or you just have to do like regular laser tattoo removal, but I also don't want it to like screw up my face, so I'm terrified. So please give me your recommendations so that I don't have to keep doing this.
Let's talk about microbladed brows and why I wish I never did it. I got them microbladed in 2019, 2020 for the first time, and then I had to get them retouched up a year after that. I originally got them microbladed because I didn't have very good brows and I just didn't want to have to do them every day. So the first time I got them done, I found that I still had to fill in my brows because they were just a little bit too light for what I like. So when I got them touched up a year later, I asked to go darker. I personally wanted to go darker, but without any makeup on, it looks crazy. Like they look super dark without makeup on. I think with it was fine for like the first 5 months, but then the color faded. I think that happens to everybody. The color just fades. So again, I still have to fill in my brows to this day to keep the color that I want. So yeah, I probably wouldn't do it again. It was fine for the first 5 months, but yeah, just not worth it for me.
Do not get your brows microbladed. I know they show you the pretty pictures, it looks fantastic, but I've yet to meet someone who years down the line is still happy with the results. These are my eyebrows at the moment. They're just laminated and tinted because I have to cover up this mess somehow. Look at that. Zoom in if you need to. So the ink is kind of like grayish at this point. It's been years since I did them. And not only is it really expensive, but it hurts so bad because they're literally cutting your skin with like a little sharp knife and depositing the color. It is honestly one of the most painful experiences I've ever put myself through. And I can tolerate pain. For whatever reason, I am not afraid to be ugly on the internet. So here you go. Let's zoom in even closer. Look at the gray. Do you see the ink? It's faded. It looks crappy. So I want to get it lasered off, but I'm scared my hair is going to fall out. So if you've had any experiences with taking off the microblading, please let me know. This is how they look when I have a fresh wax and tint. So if you've been thinking about doing microblading, just get yourself a little tint and lamination. You will be fine. Trust me, it is not worth it.
Microblading was supposed to be the answer to everything. No more filling in your brows every morning. No more uneven lines when you're rushing out the door. Just wake up and go with perfect brows every single day for years. And that was the promise. And for a lot of people, it felt like a dream come true, at least for the first few months. But here's the thing nobody really talks about. What happens 2, 3, 5 years later when the trend has changed, the pigment has faded into something nobody ordered, and the person staring back in the mirror doesn't recognize their own face anymore. Today, we are going to talk about microblading regret, not the horror stories where someone came out of the chair looking like a cartoon character, although we'll touch on that too. We're talking about the slow, quiet kind of regret, the kind that creeps up on you, the kind where you loved your brows on day one, and then a few years pass, and you catch yourself in a bad angle of light and think, why do my eyebrows look blue? Why do they look orange? Why does one side sit higher than the other now? Why did I ever think this was permanent enough to be worth it, but not permanent enough to actually last? If you spent any time on TikTok, you already know this is not a small niche complaint. There are entire pages full of women showing their brows years after the procedure, pulling up old photos next to current ones, and the difference is honestly hard to look away from. Some show pigment that has turned an odd shade nobody expects, almost grey or slate colored, sitting on the skin like a bruise that never healed. Others show strokes that were once thin and crisp, meant to look like real hair, now blurred together in a solid smudge, more like a stump than individual hairs. And then there are the ones who just looked tired of it, tired of paying for touch-ups, tired of being told this would last years, and finding out it barely lasted one before it started fading unevenly. And what makes this topic interesting is that it's not really about bad technicians, although bad technicians are part of the story. It's about the nature of the procedure itself. Skin is not a static canvas. Skin changes, ages, produces oil, sheds cells, and reacts differently to pigment depending on the person. A shape and color that looked perfect on day one is fighting against biology from the moment the needle leaves the skin. Add in a beauty trend cycle that moves fast, and you have a recipe for a lot of people staring at brows they didn't sign up for. So in this video, we're going to look deep in the real stories, the women who thought they found the answer to their beauty routine and instead found themselves booking laser removal appointments a few years later, the people who trusted a hyped up trend and are now living with the consequences on their face every single day, whether they like it or not. So stick around, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why so many people are calling microblading one of their biggest beauty regrets, and what you should actually know before you ever consider sitting in that chair yourself. So let me play you a few more videos and then I'll come back with more commentary. Creators' handles are in the description box below.
Just watch Alex Earl's video where she talks about regretting getting her veneers done, and it got me thinking, like, what I regret getting done, and honestly something that I wish that I was more educated on and maybe didn't get done was microblading my eyebrows. So let's talk about it. I got my eyebrows done about 4 years ago, and I got them done under the impression that they were semi-permanent, gonna fade within a year or two, and I was like, okay, that sounds good. I love the idea of not having to ever fill in my brows again and make them a little bit more full. My mom was getting them done. She's always had sparser brows, which I haven't, and I was like, oh, I'll go with you. I think in total it cost about $600 to $700 for the 2 sessions that I got. And although I don't hate how they look, these are some things that I wish that I knew before getting them. So number one is, at least for some people, they do not fade within a year or two. tattoo. Like I said, I've had these done 4 years ago and I feel like they look exactly the same. They have gotten a little bit lighter as I've seen in some past pictures, but overall they've held up. So I don't know how much longer that they're gonna last, but I feel like it's not really going anywhere. Number 2 is I feel like they don't totally fade within the color that you got them done in. If anything, they kind of like fade into this like grayer color, which I'm not a huge fan of. Number 3, something that just bugs me about it, but I am like a perfectionist and I look into things like this, is I love how my brows look when I'm wearing like a full face of makeup, because like I said, it's permanent makeup shading, whatever, so it matches well. But when I'm not wearing makeup, I genuinely feel like you can kind of tell, like at least if you're looking at me up close from the top. So I don't know if you can kind of see, but I feel like there is a little bit of a harsh line on each side, and I never love how that looks. Honestly, don't wear makeup most of the time because I teach workout classes, so I'm just always sweating, and I don't love that they kind of look fake when I'm not wearing makeup. Like I said, I got them under the impression that they were gonna last a year and a half, and I was totally okay with that. But 4 years later, I definitely wish I could see what my brows looked like without the shading. If you don't know what microblading is, it's pretty much just they're putting a ton of little baby cuts that look like hairs under your brows, and then they fill it in with ink. So it's essentially a tattoo. As for some people, they do fade faster than others. The only way it sounds like to remove the ink from your brows is to get it lasered off. Again, is something that's probably going to cost a couple $1,000s for me, so that's why I've just let them fade out naturally. I'm not in a rush for them to go anywhere, but I would love to see how I looked without them right now. I feel like I hear that a lot with microblading, is people are always promoting it as semi-permanent or it'll fade within a year or two, and I just don't feel like that's the case. Kind of like a bit misleading about it. Similar to how lip filler doesn't really ever dissolve, it just kind of migrates into different parts of your face, which I do feel like I had that experience as well. So anyways, if you're thinking about getting your brows done, just know it's probably not semi-permanent, and sometimes I wish that I could get it lasered off.
So if there was one thing I regret doing to my face, and before you guys speak, I know madami na naman kayo sasabihin, yada yada yada, she looks different before, blah 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 blah, go back to your original self. Anyway, so if there's one treatment I regret doing to my face that I am in the process of removing, trying to remove at least, is getting my eyebrows microbladed or tattooed. So disclaimer, I'm not going to say it wasn't helpful before, because it was helpful before, especially when I was showing Binibining Pilipinas, that's Miss Philippines. I'm just going to show you the situation now, and it's like not the best. So this is what it looks like. It's not giving, guys. She's giving red tattoo, like a tattoo on my face. The tattoo is tattooing, guys. It's been there for like 9 years. It's giving millennial. So I'm currently in the process of removing it. I am on my, it's been like 2 months, and I can't wait for the next session, and it's not that pain-free. So that is the situation. I completely, I guess, not regret it, but like, you know, those times when your parents say don't get a tattoo because you're gonna get it in the future, like this is the tattoo I regret, and this is the future. But anyway, this is the whole situation and the whole shebang. So that is what I regret, and I'm just gonna show you how, like, I don't know, but like it's not the best. It's not the best, and it's very limited what you can do with your makeup. And maybe that's why I look the same all the time.
To all the girlies that had their eyebrows microbladed around 5-6 years ago, how are you doing? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like I massively regret mine. So I currently have eyebrow tint on, right now, and during the process of having your eyebrows microbladed, you get your eyebrows tinted. And the day I got that done, it was the first time I had it done in my whole entire life, and I feel like, why did no one tell me? Why did no one tell me that getting your eyebrows tinted and shaped, of course, was the best decision you could have ever made for your eyebrows? Like, why did we have to microblade them? And I get it for the girlies that have no eyebrows. I mean, I didn't really have any eyebrows. I get it. But why did no one stop me? Why did no one stop me from getting my eyebrows microbladed? Because I did get them microbladed, and I remember they didn't take in these areas here. And so she nano needled them. She nano needled them, not just here, but over my entire eyebrow, which means not only were they microbladed, they were nano needled at the same time. And I feel like I came away with the most blocky eyebrows ever. And I can't undo that. After 6 years, they are faded, but it's still there. It's like a really old, disgusting tattoo, and I feel like I can't do anything else with my brows other than tint them. I don't shape them. I pluck the odd 1 or 2 hairs, but I don't do anything with them because I can't. So yeah, just wanted to check in. How you all doing? Unless you really love yours and it works out great. In that case, I am very envious, but mine turned out horrible. I really wish someone was there to just say, just leave it at the tint. Leave it at the tint.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and talk about why the cosmetic tattooing or permanent makeup industry, PMU industry, is moving away from microblading entirely. So, microblading, let's talk about the technique and how it is done. Microblading is tiny little hair stroke tattoos, like tiny little lines that mimic hair strokes in your eyebrows. This is the more natural way to get your brows cosmetic tattooed. It's not like a powder brow. Mine's powdered. I'm not wearing any makeup on them. Some may feel like this is too much, like they want something softer, where microblading is the favorite that people love to get. The industry is moving away from microblading because, let's talk about the technique on how the pigment is implanted into your skin. So microblading is a tiny little blade, right? A microblade that literally you dip it into pigment and then you slice it on the skin. You slice the skin while depositing pigment in at the same time. Now, what happens when we slice our skin with a blade? I always explain it to my clients like this. If you go for a surgery for anything and a surgeon will use a scalpel, a little blade, to slice your skin, what happens after it's healed? It leaves a scar, right? So microblading is, the surgery would be on a macro level, but microblading would be on a micro level. So you're still slicing the skin with a blade and causing micro scarring, right? So only a very few people are actually really good candidates for microblading, and most people aren't. And a lot of artists out there don't know this. So even if you are a good candidate for microblading, they will heal nice, very light little strokes, but with that little tattoo line, there will still be a micro scar that stays behind. So even if you are a good candidate for it, a good candidate meaning they healed very well, over time, creating more scarring, disrupting the blood vessels and the blood flow so close together, that's just a recipe for scarring. So over time, if you go over it again, all that scarring won't cause the pigment to heal well, and it will just become a blurry, blotchy, grey, blue mess. It'll look like a very blotchy, uneven powder brown.
My biggest beauty treatment regret ever was getting my eyebrows microbladed. Like, I wish so badly that I didn't get them done, because the process that I'm in right now is just so frustrating. I will say this, when I first got them done, they looked really good. I loved the shape, and I made like a video. I was obsessed with them. However, I should have known better, because they do require a little bit of maintenance. Like, you have to get touch-ups and whatnot. And like, that's just, I'm not good with that type of stuff. Like anything that has like maintenance and touch-ups and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So I should have just known better than to get them, because when they started to fade, mine started to oxidize the color and it became like a grayish red. And I just hated it. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand it. And instead of getting them touched up, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get them removed. I'm going to do a laser treatment to get them removed. I did this not realizing that they were going to turn red, and you have to wait like 8 to 10 weeks in between sessions. And so it's just like a long process. And I'm like, I feel so self-conscious about them. I like try and cover them up. I'm just over it. But it's like, it's one of those things I feel like I have to trust the process. But I was like freaking out a little bit and spiraling today. I'm like, what if my eyebrows just look like this forever? So if anyone's gone through this process, like please send me your recommendations. If you're thinking about getting your eyebrows microbladed, I wish I didn't get them. But if you really want to get them done, do your research. Know the difference between cosmetic ink and tattoo ink. And just like know what you're doing to your face, because I didn't. But yeah. And I just know it's going to be like an expensive process to do the lasers to get them removed. It just like wasn't worth it to me. I really didn't need them that badly. Like my eyebrows were fine before, and now I feel like they're just like fucked up, but oh well.
My microblading is almost completely gone. I got microblading in 2020. Biggest mistake of my life. The microblading industry advertised as semi-permanent, okay? That it's gonna fade in 1 to 2 years. Mine did not fade. They were so dark, they didn't follow my natural shape. And then after like a year, they just turned bright red. I honestly hated the way I looked for years because I couldn't change my eyebrows. And I was forced to overpluck because they did not follow my natural shape. I've had 8 sessions of a microblading laser removal. It hurts like a bitch, and it's super expensive. They're looking pretty crazy right now because I've been growing them out for like 2 months. Don't know if I'll get my natural eyebrows back just because I've been overplucking them for like 15 years. This is really sparse over here. I'm using the Ordinary Lash and Brow Serum, and I do think it's speeding up the growth. I really love Hoyeon Jung's eyebrows. They look like she just lets them grow, and I think they look really youthful and soft on her face. My eyebrow shape is pretty similar to hers. I feel like a lot of East Asians have like a more triangular eyebrow shape, which people kind of hate on, but I think that everyone looks good with their natural features. No one looks bad with their natural eyebrows, natural hair color, natural skin tone. But yeah, I just want my natural eyebrows back, and I'll fill in the sparse areas. So what my eyebrows look like right now, I just conceal the last bit of microblading that I have left, and then I fill in the sparse areas, and I kind of just follow my natural shape. They're pretty messy, but I think from afar they look fine. I highly recommend you think twice about microblading. I was stuck with eyebrows that I hated for years. Ugh.
Does anyone else completely regret getting their eyebrows microbladed? I wouldn't say I completely regret it because they looked really good originally, but I've been pregnant and breastfeeding for the last 3 years, so this is what we're working with now. Like, what do I do? I have a newborn, so I have exactly 1 year left to breastfeed, and like, I mean, come on, what do I do with these? They're like this grayish blue. Meanwhile, my natural brows won't grow because of my thyroid and my iron. So this is what we're working with. So if you have any tips or tricks on, one, how to get rid of the color or fill them in better or grow my eyebrows or anything. I do tint my eyebrows to make them a little bit darker because my hair is like brown, so I do tint them darker. But like, as you can see, there's no way I could do like a brow lamb because then it would just be like, oh my god, help.
My eyebrows microbladed 4 years ago, and this is a 4-year update. So as you can see here, my pigment is really gray, it's really faded. You could still see the strokes in the beginning there, but overall they obviously like need to get redone. But the problem is I don't want to get it redone. I was really under the impression that microblading was only going to last me like a year or two, meaning it was going to be completely gone. But that is obviously not the case here. It looks like after a year and a half, it like faded, and then I just got stuck in the faded process. Like I thought I was gonna keep going, and like just completely be gone from my face, but that is not the case here. It seems like I'm kind of low-key stuck with it until I decide to get laser to just like completely laser the pigment off, which I do see a lot of women do. They do like the pico laser, I think. A couple of years ago, a lot of Brisbane influencers were getting their eyebrows microbladed, and one of those influencers was me. And it has to be one of the things that I regret the most, but then also I don't know what I would look like without it. But the reason I regret it is, if you have a look at my eyebrows, it's kind of like a faded grey, faded green. I really wanted to get involved with the soap brow, kind of laminated brow type vibe, but I will never know what that looks like on me unless I get these eyebrows lasered off. Which, I don't know, can you do that? Is it a tattoo removal? I don't know. Can you get this removed? I don't know. I go through phases of liking it and not liking it, because I remember when I first got it done, my eyebrows are like Asian, super sparse, not a lot of hair going on there, and there's patches, like it's patches of where it doesn't grow. And when I first got it done, I remember just being so chuffed with it, like I was so in love. But now that the trend has come and gone and there are new trends that have taken over, like the soap brows, I don't know how I feel about it. There's a chance that I wouldn't have even been able to participate in laminating my brows and having that really cute like hair look because of how sparse my brows are. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I wish I didn't do something that was this permanent. This was my first time doing a brow tint, and I think it helped a lot in covering up that grayness that came with the tattoo.
My eyebrows microbladed on Monday. She told me she was a perfectionist and she had done this many times before. Unfortunately, she made my eyebrows super thick. This isn't my first time getting microbladed. This is actually the third time. I've had like 2 microblading sessions previously. She made super deep cuts, and I am so unhappy with the way that they look, and she has been very unhelpful and rude.
I don't even know where to start with this video, but let's break it down so this will never happen to you. First, a proper consultation would have saved this client. She explained in her video that she had already 3 microblading treatments and also 3 touch-ups. At that point, you need laser. Our skin can only take so much pigment. So essentially, her skin already had at least at a minimum 80% saturation. That gives us, what, 20% to work with? Even if we were to go and tattoo these delicate detailed strokes, when it heals, it would just blur and look really muddy. Third, the artist went way too deep. Not only does it cause more trauma, but it also causes the pigment to heal a lot ashier. I tell all my clients, if you're already going to invest in getting your brows redone, get it done right. Go get laser so that we can start fresh.
With me to get my microbladed eyebrows removed. This is the before, saying goodbye to these bad boys. Really quick, I wanted to show what my brows looked like when I first got my microblading done. I know I look like an entirely different person in this phase of life, but anyway, we're getting this done at Removery, and let's get started.
3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got one brow done. This is what it's looking like in comparison to my left one. All right, we're doing good. I just got done with my appointment and we're looking a little crazy right now, but I am really excited about my brows. We're a little bit red right now, but once that goes away, I think it's gonna be perfect. I'm so happy with the results.
Let's start with the most common complaint, and that's the color change. When microblading first heals, the pigment usually looks rich and natural, matching whatever shade was mixed for your skin tone and hair color. But pigments break down under the skin over time, and they don't always break down evenly or predictably. Brown pigment can shift towards gray, towards blue, or towards a strange reddish orange, depending on the ink used and how your body processes it. This isn't rare. It's actually one of the most searched complaints related to microblading years after the fact. People go in expecting a soft brown that fades gracefully, and instead they end up with a color that looks nothing like the real eyebrow hair, sitting stubbornly on their face until they either get it corrected or wait it out for years. And then there's the trend problem, which almost nobody wants you about at the consultation. A few years ago, the biggest broad trend was thick, straight, almost blocky brows, heavily filled in and sharply defined. And that was the shape a lot of technicians were trained to create. And a lot of clients asked for it because it was what influencers and celebrities were wearing at the time. Fast forward to now, and the trend has shifted towards softer, fluffer, more natural-looking brows that mimic real hair growth rather than a filled-in block. The problem is, semi-permanent makeup doesn't move with trends. If you got the bold, blocky shape a few years ago, you are stuck with that shape fading slowly on your face while the rest of the beauty world has moved on to something completely different. It's a strange kind of regret. Watching your own face fall out of style. Cost is also another thing that catches people off guard. Microblading is often marketed as a one-time investment that saves you money on brow pencils and gels over the years. What actually happens for a lot of people is a steady stream of touch-up appointments because the pigment fades eventually, especially for people with oily skin. Instead of paying once and being done for a couple of years, many end up paying for touch-ups every 6 months to a year just to keep the color from disappearing into nothing. When you add up the original session and every touch-up after that, the total cost often ends up higher than what someone would have spent on brow makeup for the same stretch of time, and that's before anyone even considers correction or removal costs. Speaking of removal, this is where a lot of regret stories get really painful to watch. For people who end up hating the shape, the color, or the whole idea after a few years, getting rid of microblading is never near as simple as letting it fade. Laser removal is the most common route, but it usually takes several sessions. It can be genuinely painful, and it doesn't always fully clear the pigment, especially if it has settled deep or spread out under the skin. Some people go through multiple rounds of laser treatment and are still left with a faint shadow of the old brows underneath, a ghost of a shape that never fully disappears. Imagine paying for the procedure, disliking the result, and then paying again multiple times, just trying to get back to a blank canvas. And there's also a quieter kind of regret that doesn't show up as dramatically on camera, but comes up again and again in these videos, and that's the change in the natural brow hair underneath. Some people report that after repeated microblading sessions, their real eyebrow hair starts growing back thinner, patchier, or slower than before. Nobody can promise this will happen to everyone, but enough people mention it that it's become a real pattern in the online conversations around long-term microblading experiences. For someone who went in with decent natural brows, just looking for a bit of definition, ending up with thinner natural hair years later feels like a trade they never agreed to. And then there's the emotional side of all this, the part that's hardest to put into words but comes through clearly in every one of these testimonial clips. It's the feeling of looking in the mirror and not quite recognizing your own face. Eyebrows shape so much of how a face reads, how expressions come across, how emotions look to other people. When that shape and color slowly turns into something you didn't choose, something that drifted there on its own through fading and blurring and pigment shift, it can feel oddly disorienting. Several women describe avoiding certain lighting, avoiding certain camera angles, even avoiding certain people, all because of how self-conscious they become about brows that were supposed to make them feel more confident, not less. What's worth remembering through all of this is that not everyone who gets microblading ends up regretting it. Plenty of people are perfectly happy years later, especially those who find a highly skilled technician, took great care of their skin, and got lucky with how their body processed the pigment. But the sheer volume of regret stories out there says something important. This procedure carries more long-term risk and more long-term commitment than the quick, easy marketing around it usually lets on. It's not a 2-week experiment. It's not something you can undo with a quick fix if you don't love it. It's a slow-moving decision that plays out on your face for years, whether the outcome matches what you imagined or not. So if you're someone considering microblading after watching this, take these stories seriously, not as scare tactics, but as real experiences from real people who trusted the process and ended up somewhere they didn't expect. Ask hard questions before you book anything. Ask about pigment breakdown over time. Ask to see photos of the technician's work from 2 or 3 years back, not just fresh-healed photos. Think about whether the shape you want today is a shape you still want in 5 years, because trends change fast, and your face is not going to change nearly as fast as your pigment fades unevenly across it. Regret is rarely about the procedure going wrong on day one. It's almost always about what happens quietly, slowly, over the years that follow.
Once we did our microblading or microshading in 6 years ago. How are you feeling about it right now? Because myself, I don't know. I don't want it. I want it out of my face because it looks like, okay, now it's looking a bit better based on the fact that I've done a little bit of pencil and some concealer, but still, oh my god, I wake up every morning, I'm like, I don't want to have this thing on my face, and I'm scared of having a botched removal, or rather the ones that turn red or white. So has anyone done a successful removal of these micro shadings at Kitambo? Because they were using ink that, imagine something that was done like 6 years ago and is still there. Is it 6 years ago? I don't know how long, but I think close to 5-6 years, and it's still there. And the color is now no longer like it's a weird color. It's not black, it's not brown, it's like, I don't know. So has anyone done successful removal? And if you have, please give me reviews. I want to be confident that if I remove, I won't have my eyebrows won't turn white forever, or they won't go away because it's laser. But yeah, generally some trends you end up regretting them. There are things that we're doing now in like 5 years, you won't want to have them anymore.
If you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Creators' handles are in the description box below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.